All right, welcome. How are you all? Good? Nice. All right, cool. All right, so let's talk about a paradigm shift in serious game design. And I'll talk about it through the game KlankKr8 that we developed. So my name is Oliver Hock. I'm really passionate about design, game design. I really like games, and I really like programming as well. So I studied computer science at TU Delft, got my master's there. And I'm co-founder, CEO, and lead game designer at Game Tailors. So Game Tailors, we make tailor-made educational games, mostly for education. We also do healthcare stuff, but also for business, but mostly learning games or training games. We reside in Delft. We're with 15 people now. We've done over 50 projects, and on average, our clients give us a 9, so we're very proud of that. And to give you an idea of what we do, I have a little show reel. I really hope it works, but it should.
Yeah, need to motivate others to learn. Grab our lantern. Hey, Game Tailors here. It's games we make for teaching's sake. Boosting drive for long-term gain. Learning's fun and not a pain. Tools and years of skill. Take our hand, we know the drill. Bring your vision to the light with Game Tailors. It's always right. Play, learn, grow.
So very happy video. Some of our clients are, for instance, Hartstichting or University of Leiden or TU Eindhoven. We also do business like Awareways and stuff, but these are the most recognizable with regards to education. So last year we won, as you've heard, the Dutch Game Award, which is really great. And it was for the game KlankKr8 for the category Applied Games. And the reason that we built the game is because there are many children in the Netherlands that suffer from a reading deficiency. And the cause of that is seen as that they don't learn the sound letter combinations properly. So when you see a K, you'll immediately hear a K in your head. However, at school they often learn it in the sense that they need to remember it. It takes a bit of time. You see it, and you think, okay, yeah? But it needs to be fluent, instant. And for that we built KlankKr8. So we have a lot of evidence-based exercises built into this game. And this game makes children practice a lot with all these exercises. And it allows to build a solid foundation for their reading. So to paraphrase the jury, Game Tailors leverages scientific research to create a full-fledged game that is playful, consistent, and highly stimulating. However, an underlying reason for its effectiveness is often overlooked. And that is the motivation structure. This wasn't always the case for us, though, because when we started, we had serious game design all wrong, making our games much less effective than they could have been. And we see many other games today in the industry that is also plagued with this problem. And I think it's holding back the industry in some way. And even our clients expect the wrong games sometimes. So what we did was we approached serious game design from an entertainment perspective, because that's what we were used to. And KlankKr8 is the perfect game to demonstrate how we shifted in this paradigm. So 9 years ago, when we founded Orbit Games, which is now Game Tailors, we got our first client. And it was a serious game for children with dyslexia, which is now the game that you know as KlankKr8. However, we were really lacking game design knowledge. So we studied it extensively, learned a lot about it, but it was mostly entertainment game design. So what we thought, learning letters is boring, so let's sugarcoat it. Our thoughts were, hide the learning because it's boring, and as long as they practice more, we're good. And we need to compete with games like Candy Crush. So we use all the motivation hacks. Right? we added points, collectibles, and typical game elements. For instance, collectibles that are very unrelated, like the Voyager in space, or maybe some presents or a treasure chest with nothing much related to the content. And it turns out to be a really bad idea. Let's look at it from a different angle. Our goal is to learn and practice with letter-sound combinations. So why is this boring? Can it maybe not be boring? And does it need to be a game? So with a hobby, you learn easily. It's no problem, because you're motivated to do that already. However, at school, this is often different. You know? You're forced to learn something. So at school, learning is often difficult, unless you like the subject. Learning is enjoyable when the material is interesting to us. So some examples, it's content that we value personally, right? For instance, solving climate change, or it's content that helps us in our social status, maybe color theory for dressing fancy, or the content has large implications, like lab-grown meat, for instance. Maybe it solves a big problem for us, like the role of dairy in acne for teenagers, or maybe we're already invested in something in the content because it's maybe a puzzle that we already started. In these cases, learning is intrinsically motivating because we enjoy the act of learning itself. Some examples for me is I'm interested in nutrition sciences, but also in climate change and Tesla. So whenever a video comes out of those people that I follow on YouTube, I watch the video and I learn and I really enjoy that. So what about those points, badges, and hacks that I talked about? And that brings us to extrinsic motivators. And you know, our brains are not stupid, because one of the issues that these motivators, like points, grades, and other unrelated rewards have, you're not learning for the sake of the content, but you're learning for a short-term reward. For instance, to complete a level, or to get a good grade, or to reach a specific platform in the game. And you are much more likely to forget the content afterwards. Learning is not firmly stored in a web of associations like our brain works. Our brain works associatively, and if we work towards this short-term reward, and we need to learn only for that reason, it doesn't stick that well. Learning costs mental effort. We need to remember that. Without effort, there's not much learning. And we're really great as a human species at avoiding effort. We're quite lazy. So if it's possible to get a short-term reward without the effort, we'll do that. Yeah? So we can cheat often. So another issue with extrinsic motivation is this one. This meta-analysis reviewed 128 studies and confirmed that extrinsic rewards tend to have a significant negative impact on intrinsic motivation, especially for tasks involving interest and enjoyment. That's pretty crazy. So someone who was interested in a subject may lose that interest because of the extrinsic motivators. Additionally, extrinsic motivators can be annoying, right? Imagine opening Photoshop and you suddenly have to open the chest for no reason. We probably don't want to open Photoshop anymore. So, to be clear, extrinsic motivators, they could work in some cases, yeah? I'm talking here specifically about learning and stuff. However, it may be a real waste of more powerful motivators that are up for grabs already in your content. So be careful. Serious games are teaching tools, so we should approach them from a didactic point of view. So to design from learning objectives, you can ask yourself, what makes that material inspiring or valuable? Why do experts in that field enjoy it? And how can your target audience experience that magic as well? Right? Because some people experience a magic with that content. Get that there somehow. what is important to your target audience, and find an overlap there. So, find the game loops within your content. Games are basically real life, but hyper-refined in its key motivating parts. Let's see. So, we have a game. We have a chest, a shiny chest, and we think, hey, maybe it has a diamond. Let's open the chest. And we're anticipating, this is where dopamine comes up. Will it be a diamond chest? It's bronze. Unfortunately, it's a bronze. Let's try again. However, in life, the loop is fairly similar. Let's say we have a bridge that we built, not a real bridge, whatever. The bridge that we built will collapse. Can I fix it? Okay, I will anticipate a fix, attempt it. Will it work? Simulating, simulating. It failed. Let's try again. It's the same loop. That loop exists properly within your content as well. So find out what existing motivating elements can you benefit from the content, and transform those into game mechanics. If you do that, the game will emerge automatically. So for KlankKr8, what did we do? We completely reworked the game, and our aim was now to let children experience the magic of written language. So what we did was, when they play the game, they quickly learn words. Right? They learn the letters, but also the words. They can combine I, K to ik really quickly. And from that point on, when they finish the first level, they can already walk around in the world and see those letters and the word ik. So all those words that we put into the game, they're all sorted on prevalence. How often do they exist in our language? How often will they use it? And we will front load that, because then the experience of, the magical experience of reading will come sooner, which allows them to apply it in real life. And that will also allow them to be more motivated to learn more words and more letters, right? Because they experience the magic in real life. And furthermore, you still need to practice, practice, practice. So the core game mechanic is still practicing. It's matching letter-sound combinations. However, it itself is a micro loop. You hear a sound, hope that you click the right one. It's already a micro loop. So we added many ways of learning into the game. We also have this microphone game. It records you, doesn't send it anywhere. It just plays it back. So you can compare it yourself. You can just play with your pronunciation and hear whether it's correct. So the astronaut will say and you can try it as well, and you hear it back. And you can reflect using that. It's okay if it doesn't match. Then we have this mechanic where you actually spell the words, this mechanic where you train the motoric skills, and finally a quiz part where we test your response times. Because the faster that you are, the better you are in reading these letters and the more fluent you are. So we want you to be more fluent. And this also allows us to make the game really adaptive. So whenever you're bad at a certain sound, we'll present it more, or even give more tutorials on it. And then finally, we removed many extrinsic motivators or integrated them with the content. So for instance, you're collecting something, but it is the content. So what's next? Make intrinsic the default, is our opinion. So let's dream. Finding game loops within the content can be difficult, and additionally, we often need to incorporate a lot of content in these learning games. We need a toolbox that allows rapid prototyping, makes incorporating a lot of content easy, and that forces us to reason from the learning objectives. For that, we developed Learn Plus, which is a platform that allows us to build things learning objective-based. It's basically a Lego box with a lot of blocks that allows us to build these serious games, which allows us to also quickly prototype and test these things and build them, and we can serve them in the browser. It's very easy to integrate all kinds of stories and make them interesting. And we can also develop custom blocks if there are any simulations necessary for the specific content. And this allows us, as a result, to provide our clients with significantly more value for the same budget. What's really nice is that the dean of TU Eindhoven said, Learn Plus makes difficult content fun and interesting for our students. So that's it. My final conclusion is reason from the content. Find the intrinsically motivating elements. And if you want to discuss this topic further, because it's still something that we're very interested in learning more about, I enjoy discussing this topic, so feel free to contact me. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Scan the QR code if you wish to connect with me. And if you need an educational game, please contact us.
Thank you, Olivier. That was really great to see and also to learn from the lessons of the game that won the Dutch Game Award last year, KlankKr8. I found myself really wondering, and maybe some of you did as well, so talking about the intrinsic motivation. So I work in the DI industry, so diversity, accuracy, and inclusion. And one of the problems that we are facing is to get people indeed intrinsically motivated to do the e-learnings on diversity, accuracy, and inclusion. So with all your lessons and your knowledge, what will be your advice for topics that a small group of people might have lived experiences with, but a large part doesn't, and we do want to create these connections between the group with each other?
Yeah, good question. I would say the questions that I put in these slides are very useful, is to figure out, so there are some people that are probably interested in this, right? They ask them why. Why do you want to learn this? Try and see if you can figure out if that motivates others as well, if you highlight that, because some people may not be aware of some things that might interest them. On the other hand, they may not be interested, and you need to test different things. This is really a difficult process sometimes, because you need to talk to them and ask them. And that's the most important thing, I think.
Okay, so we have to test, right? So we have to test and to really find what makes them tick, so we can find the intrinsic motivators.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions in the room? Yes, I see a hand. And could you please also introduce your name?
Sure. I'm Thea. I'm a UX researcher, and I found your talk very interesting, actually. And I wanted to ask you, how did you go about testing, and what is a big challenge that you faced, if any, during testing with real users? Thank you.
I think the most challenging part is actually testing. Because a lot of things are subjective and it's hard to measure. Some of the things you're like, let's hope this works. What we do, of course, test, and you need a really large sample size and good studies to really make sure that this works. But what we see, at least from KlankKr8, is that it does, because we did a study for that. Again, test is important. Talk to the people that play your game about their motivations before and after. See if that's changed in any way, or maybe they were already motivated. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Yeah? Okay, good.
Yes, I see two more hands. This one was a bit faster.
I was just wondering about target audience. Do you find it's more difficult to get different age groups and target audiences to be intrinsically motivated, or is that, what's the variance in that sector?
Yeah, I think it's it depends on the target audience, but it always also depends on the content. In a sense, we always have to make something tailor-made, right? Your target audience may have a completely different view of the world than you do, or than maybe the other people that you made a game for previously. So you need to take that into account and talk to them about this. And it's not always obvious, because if you talk to them, they may say different things that they actually mean. That's also a problem of the human condition. And there are ways to account for that. You can find them online if you wish, but it's all tailor-made. You need to talk to them.
So just extensive interviewing.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Eric. At the start you said clients were expecting the wrong game. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, good question. So we often get clients that want us to just sugarcoat things. They expect, oh, we have students that need to learn something, and it's boring, so please add the collectibles, the points, and the badges. And those clients are difficult because then we have to tell them about, no, we're not going to do that. We would not like that. We first want to visit the intrinsic motivation. No? However, there are cases where extrinsic motivation elements can work, but we just want to start with the intrinsic ones. So like I said, they sometimes expect gamification-like things, and we want to watch out for that, so we need to teach them. Yeah. Cool.
Hi, Toby Jones from UVV Innovation. When you have a game for a group of employees, so it's like mandated learning,
Yeah.
how do you find the internal motivation there?
Yeah, that can be fairly difficult. So what are you thinking of? Is it like onboarding or?
It's actually to help staff relate to the clients. So it's like a training on how to be in the shoes of the client.
Yeah. And do you know of people that do this well and that like this? No? None?
No.
Okay. It would be useful to find those people and talk to them why it's interesting for them. And maybe there's a magic there that a lot of people don't see. And if that's the case, then you can use that. Yeah, I think you need to experiment and brainstorm on ways that makes it interesting if you want to do this intrinsically motivated. Because they need to maybe experience why this is important. Because if they don't experience why this is important, they need to know why, they need to feel it. And if they can, they will want to learn it.
Right, so yes, find the people who already like doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And find out why they like it.
Yeah.
And move that into the training.
Yeah, see if that works. I mean, it could possibly not work. Maybe they like it for some reason that no one else ever will. That's possible. It will make it more difficult. But again, if they need to learn this, if that's important, there's a reason why it's important, and they need to feel the importance, right? So maybe you can first give them some kind of role play where they see why this is very important and where this can feel.
Yeah, good, thanks.
Thank you. We have room for one last question, if there is someone who would like to ask a last question. No? Okay. Well, then in that case, I would like to thank you very much, Olivier, for this great talk and also sharing your best practices with us on KlankKr8, the game that won the Dutch Game Award of last year. I found it very inspiring as well, and I was really thinking, how can I bring this more into my business? So I think also a lot of you will have the same. We have a little present for you as well. Nice. According to the Dutch weather. So this is for you.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy, and thank you very much again.
Thank you.